a message for my people.
Nick Dad, baby. We the new label.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, son.
Now this the black sheep sticking its home. I need a crib like I'm Gatsby.
I need it.
In hand, just understand my
Pockets that deep.
with nothing to prove. I ain't got nothing to do. When they can't compete and I got nothing to lose.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Veterans Minimum, the #1 sports betting vibe on the internet. Almost at 500 Patreon members, $1 a month. That is all we're asking for. We're not asking for too much. I know most of you spend money on way worse. I've spent money on way worse. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. I want to get right into it. Today, I'm riding solo on the first part of the episode. George is traveling. We do got the pick segment coming on a little bit later, but I have a very special guest, a friend of the podcast, a person who I communicate on the daily on many different aspects, many different conversations. I had to come correct for one of Ohio State's finest, Maurice Clarett, calling in.
My man Nick, there we go. At least you represent with the mini helmet. So I know this is going to be a great show.
Hey man, listen, this is one of the helmets that I needed you to sign that time that you was going to come out here, and then I was supposed to come out to Ohio, and both were 0-2. So hopefully the third time that we try to get these helmets signed for George and myself, we'll make it happen. But I appreciate you, man.
So I will tell you, so the chances of me coming out there during our bye week are probably like 95%. So there's a 95% chance I will be in Nevada, and I sign the helmet and we go, we socialize, we eat, we hang out, but chances are I'll be out there during the bye week. So you heard it first here now.
Hey, you got it now. 95%. If I could pick 95% in betting, bro, I would ask everybody that I know for money, and I'd be like, listen, you'll get a nice ROI on your investment. You know what I'm saying? 60% is insane. 55%. If I would bring a 55 on my school grades in high school, bro, to my mom, she would backhand me. 55% now, I can make a career out of this. You know what I'm saying? The bar isn't that high as many people think. So 95%, I'm expecting it.
Let me ask you out of curiosity, what is the gambling average? Like, what is the percentage? I know there has to be like averages with all this stuff with winning and picking. So, and you told me I get a chance to ask you any questions that come to mind about gambling. So, like, what is the averages for people winning just in general?
It honestly, bro, I'm going to give you a lot of different answers, right? So catch what I'm saying before we go. It depends on what you bet on. If you're a parlay bettor, these guys that put, and I'm a parlay bettor too, right? But a lot of professional bettors, they hate it. They think it's the worst investment you can make. I know they're pretty dumb to make. You pick 5 teams to win and cover against the spread, 25-1 on average. So $100 wins you $2,500. Mo, that's what people want, right? People don't want me to tell them. People don't want me to tell them, yo, take this fighter to win on Saturday, and he's minus 300, meaning you got to put up $300 to win 100. People are gonna be like, bro, I don't want that shit. Give me plus 800, right? Tell me 7 guys that are gonna score a touchdown. And that's the thing with the betting space that has become very, I'd say, controversial in that community, where everybody wants these 6, 7, 10 leg parlays where $20 could buy you a house. Those are lotto tickets, literally lotto tickets, right? On average, the sports bettor, if you look around Vegas or you look around all these casinos and sports books, they're pretty bad and they lose a lot. That's why they're always renovating. That's why they got new studios being built and new hotels are going up left and right. It's pretty bad. You know what I'm saying? And I feel very passionate about this. I hate people that sell picks. We don't sell picks on the show. And it's something that always kind of we don't really network with a lot of people in the betting space. We're very selective because I don't like people charging for picks. We do a Patreon. It's $1 a month. You're supporting something way bigger than the picks. If you just listen to the show each week, we tell you what we're betting on. There's clips going up on 9 different social media accounts. It's just that sometimes life gets in the way. You can't sit down for an hour to hear all the picks. So we're like, listen, on Patreon every Friday night, Saturday morning, this is what we're betting on, George and myself, for the weekend. you could just have that there. And there's also a Discord too. So it's a community that we're building. We're building a fan base. I know I took you all over the place, but professional bettors, they aim for about 55, 56% on the year, and they could do that full time. And the other thing that people get really in trouble in, and this is something that I've done, Mo. I've been betting since I was like 8, 9 years old with my dad, right? And then when I got into high school, I started betting my own money, dude. I would make like $100 a week in allowance or some shit, and I was betting it everywhere, like on everything. I was a degenerate piece of shit. It wasn't until I started creating content that I was like, yo, George and I just spoke about this on the show on Monday. I get the same happiness and joy if you hit me up and you're like, yo, bro, I listened to the show and I made this bet because of what you said on the show. I'm like, damn, that's dope. I feel like I hit the bet, even if I might have not. Does that make sense?
Well, interesting.
Yeah. So
Well,
for
it
me,
makes a lot of sense, but
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. So like for me, it wasn't until I started creating content where I really like pulled back on going crazy with the betting. I still bet. I love to do it. I'll never not do it. It's become in moderation for me. And I'm a $50 to $100 bettor. And I gotta really like something, Mo. If you see me bet something for $100, I gotta have a lot of conviction. I gotta feel really passionate about it. And it's recreational money. And the other thing with the betting space, and even like with the picks, right? What we try to do here on the show, it's a little bit of entertainment. That's why we call it the best sports betting vibe on the internet. You're going to learn some shit about the betting community. You're going to learn some fun stuff. We don't take ourselves too seriously. But then also, like, we give out good picks too. You know what I'm saying? So I hope I answered your question. I know I kind of was going all over the place, but that's kind of like the gist of the betting space. It's a very popular one.
No, you definitely answered my question. And I was asking myself, I said, when you started describing that you was getting this other level of dopamine from giving people good information, I can't imagine that does it, but it was just good insight nonetheless.
Yeah, man, it's a real thing, dude, because for me, right, like I don't bet as many things. In the past, I used to bet in a weekend like 50 stuff. Now it's like 7. But I'm betting a little bit more, but I also feel stronger about what I'm betting on. And then, of course, we do a lot of the bets that we make, full transparency, Mo, it's all for the show. Like we don't expect to hit these 5-leg anytime touchdown guys that pay 50 to 1. It's cool for content. We do bet it just so we can have the ticket if it does hit. But that's not like where our main focus is. There's stuff that we do for content. And then there's stuff that we do like for the pockets. And sometimes they coincide, like Bijan Robinson, for example. Mo, I don't know if you know this because, we really got close maybe like, 2 years ago. But you're talking to someone that's correctly picked the Offensive Player of the Year in 3 straight seasons. I've picked the MVP in the NFL 2 of the last 3 years. You know what I'm saying? You're an analyst and great at your job. I'm also an analyst and great at my job. That's why us two together, we make magic on the shows. Pause.
Yeah, I get
pause.
it.
So Bijan Robinson, right? Last year, dude, and this is a good way to get into the conversation with you, right? Because you always talk about like the it factor and what separates someone and what makes them special. Last year, I'll never forget this because it happened when Michael Penix Jr. became the starter for the Falcons. They ran a stop and go route with Bijan Robinson, and he overthrew him by maybe 15 yards. And I immediately text all my buddies, and I said, Bijan Robinson is winning Offensive Player of the Year next year. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, listen, they're going to do things with Bijan Robinson that they haven't done yet. And I said in the offseason, he could go for 1K. He has over 800 yards from scrimmage in 5 games because they've already had a bye week. It's on pace for that. He was 20 to 1 in the summer. Now he's 3 to 1. My question to you is, do you ever watch people and get that sense where you're like, something special is about to happen with this player?
Yeah, I see it all the time. It's just people who, and I guess when you look at so many players, you get an idea of like where players rank amongst one another. Just whatever the standard is for wide receiver, whatever the standard is for running back or whatever the standard is for quarterback, and whoever it is. And then you'll end up seeing somebody that just breaks that entire mold. And you understand that they can either climb the charts very fast in regards to the current people who are out there, or they just have like a special talent. You take Ohio State in general. We have a kid named Jeremiah Smith, and people call him JJ. And from the time that I seen him, when he came to Ohio State as a freshman, you can see that he basically broke the mold from a height, a speed standpoint to things that he can do. And he had what you have from a physical standpoint, which is the it factor, and then all the other stuff, the work ethic and all the other stuff that's paired with it. But I see athletes like that all the time. I know we get caught into these labels of calling them generational talents, and we tend to hype people up a little bit more just because of social media, and it sounds good. But I'm telling you, they're just people, man, who study the game and they see what's out there, and for one reason or another, they get their chance and they explode onto the scene. Pause, and make a splash into the world of athletics or whatever it is that they're doing.
Man, I love that you brought up Jeremiah Smith. I know it's close to home for you, and it was one of the questions that I really wanted to ask you. Talking about special talents, I feel like Ohio State, if a wide receiver comes out and goes to the NFL, it's like he's going to start on your fantasy team at some point. It's like the running joke is like, this dude's going to ball out, right? There's just something about it.
Mhm.
There's been a very passionate conversation on social media in the football community the last couple of weeks with the emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba. And then obviously you have like Garrett Wilson in the league, Chris Olave, Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka. Also, he's, I know he got hurt in the last game. I missed a couple of weeks, but he was the offensive rookie of the year favorite prior to him getting hurt. You have Terry McLaurin. You go back a couple of years, you had guys like Michael Thomas Jr. also. I think Ohio State collectively is wide receiver U. LSU at the top, the two guys who are probably the two best receivers in the league, yeah, you got them. And I know I love Malik Neighbors. I think Brian Thomas Jr. is great also. But I think if you're ranking receivers right now, it starts with Chase and Jefferson, and then it's way more Ohio State than LSU. My question to you, and you see this all the time being a part of the organization over there, what happens, I should say, at Ohio State that this is the position that they just produce Hall of Fame talent every fucking year?
Yeah, I mean, it has a history to it. So when you go back to the original wide receiver coach before Brian Hartline, it was Zach Smith, and Zach Smith was the wide receiver coach for a number of years with Urban Meyer down in Florida. So you're going back to the Percy Harvin days. You follow where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
And so he comes to Ohio State. Yes. So once I said that, now you see what's been set in stone. And so he was here with Urban Meyer and all those Michael Thomas Juniors and a lot of those older guys who were here. Those guys get molded, shaped, and built from him. And when Urban left and his staff had left, Brian Hartline had a chance either to watch that or see that, and he's built on top of that. Basically, had a great career down in Miami, came and played in Cleveland for a number of years, had a very solid pro career, but he came and just basically built and added on. But the real driver of everything is actually Ryan Day. And what you're talking about with that, when you have these kids that come out of Ohio State, and they end up going to the professional ranks. They end up performing very well, and they're prepared, and they're professionals, and they know how to practice, play, sleep, eat, and do all of those things. When you get to Ohio State and you understand the day-to-day culture, and the fact that Ryan was with the Eagles and was with the 49ers, he runs a professional practice, be it with coaches, be it with assistants, be it with the weight training program. And I know that there's a lot of colleges who try to mimic professional environments in some areas, but he's done a phenomenal job with how guys prepare, how they practice, and just how they recruit, just the type of character and personality from those guys. If you look at Jackson Smith and Jigba, Mecca, Garrett Wilson, a lot of those guys, they have the same personality. And so for those reasons, and I'm down there, I can say this now, I'm down there 2 days a week. I'm down there Tuesdays, Thursdays, and I go to every game on Saturday. And so you see it day in and day out. And if you looked at the quarterback position with CJ Stroud, and you look at all of these players are very similar in personality. So I really give more credit to Ryan Day than one individual. But Brian Hartline was able to build upon what Zach Smith has put in place, and those guys have been doing phenomenal.
Man, that's so crazy to hear. Just the change from one coach to another, and then the consistency where it's still just elite talent after elite talent. Like, dude, if you just look at the money, right? Like, these wide receivers have all gotten $100+ million deals. You know, Jackson Smith and Jigba and Ibuka just got into the league. They're going to be $35+ million a year wide receivers as well. And it's just so crazy to me, dude, because, like, you know, I'm a huge soccer fan, right? And there's just a couple of teams in the world that just always produce that one position better than all other countries. It's like defenders with Italy. It's like, oh, this guy's Italian, he's going to be sensational. French players that are attacking minded, it's like, bro, this guy he's 19 years old, he's going to win the Ballon d'Or, which is like the best player in the world one day. And then I think of it like on the flip side, how the culture, you always talk about the culture when you go on It Is What It Is, and even on your show, Start With The Facts, which airs 5 days a week. It's really interesting. And as I've gotten older, dude, I feel like I weigh less on the rings argument. I used to be a big rings guy, but then I'm like, man, so much shit has to happen in order for me to win a championship. I got to stay healthy. My owner got to be competent. The GM got to put a good team around me. My coach got to not be a moron and calling dumbass plays and put us in position to thrive and be successful. Then my teammates got to all stay healthy. The pass interference got to get called for me, where last year it didn't get called for me. Like, there's so much stuff that happens, right? And then when I think about like the culture at Ohio State, or even just like teams across the board, on a funny moment, it used to be when Greg Popovich was the coach for the Spurs, anytime they drafted an international player, you were like, oh, that guy's going to be an all-star. They just know. But every other team, dude, I'm a Knicks fan, right? Every other team that drafted a Euro guy or international guy, they're like, oh my God, they watched some YouTube highlights and now they love him, right? But it's like, if the Spurs do it, you're cool with it.
He's a star.
He's going to be a star, right? So that's what I think about with like wide receivers at Ohio State. You know, like obviously everyone's talking about Jeremiah Smith. Good.
You know, they have Chris Henry Jr. coming in next year as well.
Oh my!
And so he's the number one. He's the number one receiver in the nation. But the success and the culture ends up attracting more guys like that, and so the machine ends up feeding itself. You know what I mean? And so we'll be having the same conversation next year. He's 6'6". Jeremiah Smith is 6'4", and you have a number of guys who just want to be coached and want to be developed here. So I don't see it happening or stopping anytime soon. And if he comes and he has success, what do you think that's going to say about the younger guys who are coming up in America, that they have to get to Ohio State, they have to take that talent, and then when you're a good coach, coaching great talent already, the likelihood that you'll perpetuate, what you've been doing for the last 4 or 5 years is just going to go on.
Yeah, dude, that's a really good point. It's like it's just a breeder's system of wide receivers. If you want to be that guy at wide receiver, you got to go to Ohio State, right? It's like a kid again, to bring up soccer. You know, we got the World Cup coming next summer, so I've started diving into like my soccer stuff, Mo. And you look at like soccer in the US, it's still nowhere near where it should be, in my opinion. But you see a kid that's 14, 15 years old, and you're like, man, that dude has it. You got to send them to Europe. Forget school, homeschool them. If he wants to really be one of those guys, he got to go play over there. Like, that's the measuring stick, and that's where you got to go. It's kind of the same way. If you're a kid in high school right now, how could you not want to go to Ohio State? You look at all these guys, you see them play on Sundays. They're number one wide receivers. There's like 8 of them that are Ohio State guys that are number one wide receivers. Then you think of the money now with NIL, and then the money that they're making the big leagues. It's like, dude, how could you not? It'd be a foolish mistake to not go to a place like Ohio State. And then again, I just love my favorite show of the week on It Is What It Is, dude, and I've told you this on the record, off the record, and I'll say it again for my audience, it's when you're on, because you bring out conversations that I think are way more opinionated than like stat driven, and it really opens up people on the show. And you always talk about culture. And one thing, I'm so pissed that Brian Callahan got fired, because I shot a video in June, bro, of Mike McDaniel being the first coach fired. He was 20-1. You could actually bet on this stuff, Mo. I don't know if you knew that. On who's
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Listen, I think getting fired as an NFL and college coach might be the best jobs to get fired from.
Yes.
Because like James Franklin's going to make $50 million still, which is a whole nother conversation. But you talk about culture, right? McDaniel, they're 1-5. They're playing the Browns this week. You ready for this? We do a pick segment we've already recorded. It's my trust me pick. My trust me pick is 5-1 on the year. It's literally the thesis behind it is, no matter what anyone tells me, you can't convince me otherwise. I'm trusting myself. Y'all should trust me. I think the Browns win. And then if you're Miami and the front office, you're probably like, oh my God, we just lost to the Browns. What's that say about us? All right, McDaniel, hand over the playbook, son. We got to go to a different direction.
Yeah.
What do you think it is about the culture in Miami, and how do you identify a team that got a good culture versus a bad culture?
Simple, just a seriousness. Anybody who I've been around, and I can say just me as a player, I can go from high school, I can go to the collegiate level of winning a championship and being around UConn basketball and seeing them win back-to-back championships, and being around Ohio State and seeing them go on a tear to win championships, and just looking at the landscape of people who are high achievers. When you have high achieving people, there is a seriousness that permeates them, and there's a detail oriented way that they talk day in and day out, almost like machine like, methodical like, and they have a pulse for the players, where they're at in their development, and the people around them feel the presence. And I know I said a whole lot, but as I was saying this, I'm just thinking about Dan Hurley, Ryan Day. I'm thinking about my high school coaches. I'm just thinking about people who win in general. I'm thinking about Nick Saban, great communicators of just the process, but also the players living what it is that they're talking. And I'm just drawing from my memory. But with Miami, it's just too loose. I've never seen any coach who's very loose and very cool with people have great influence over players, right? That works when people don't want to do hard shit. And I'm talking about either win games or go above and beyond. You send the wrong message that, you can kind of do this very important, very stringent thing with like a loose mentality. And like there's one thing to have fun. There's another thing to just have like a lackadaisical and loose culture, right? And so when you look at Mike McDaniel, and then you look at what Tua Tagovailoa, if I hope I didn't mess his name up, like that mentality mimics one another, because to even be that loose and loosely talk about your players and loosely talk about your head coach and have all this indirect conversation, it just speaks to like what's expected. Like he would never have done that when he was down with Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa. And those are just two different personality types. And just Mike McDaniel, that fun approach, the fun, cool thing, the hip thing, the being a Miami thing that he got a bunch of success from before. It may be great to be an offensive coordinator like that, but when you're trying to lead men and you're trying to get people to do the difficult shit day in and day out, people in some regard, they just wouldn't respect you just because just the looseness that you have. And I say that with all due respect, and I say pause after that.
Yeah, man. Listen, I feel you on that, right? Like when he became the head coach of Miami, they were doing things that we hadn't seen before. Their offense was putting up insane numbers, especially with Tua. Hell, I remember they put up 70 points against Denver. Like they were doing things that was really, really crazy. And it was a fun offense, jet sweeps, guys in motion, and just revolutionizing the offensive schemes. But you're right, man. Like there's something about that. Like I always liked my coach being a piece of shit, honestly. My whole life, like when you're an athlete, you understand exactly what you mean. Like, yeah, he was a nice guy when it was off the field, but like on the field, like, dude, we were talking about this a couple of weeks ago when DeMarcado on Arizona dropped the football at the 1 yard line.
Yep.
I played quarterback in high school, and I audibled out of a run play that was right there because I wanted to throw a pass to one of like my best friends on the team to get him to get like 5 catches, right? And my coach, we didn't have a headset where you could hear the plays, right? You used to have to sprint to the sideline, get the play, and run back in. So when I got over there, bro, this is 2008. My coach said things that were fireable offenses in 2025. Made fun of me for being Greek. He called me so many different words that mean dumb. All that. I was an idiot for doing that. Like, it was, my feelings didn't get hurt. I was like, yeah, I kind of fucked up over there, right? But I say all that because I feel you on the McDaniel thing, dude, because I wanted my coaches to be dicks. Like, nah. Sprints, suicides. You fumbled, you did something, you're late to practice, sprints. Jane Fonda's. You're doing all that shit. That's what I want. And then off the field, he was the man. He'd come by the classes because he was the head dean at my high school. Shout out to Coach Brosnan. He'd come by and be like, hey, man, you doing good? Everything all right? Like, why were you late today? Is there something going on at home? Like, yeah. On the field, though, I need you to be an asshole. And I think of, like what you said, Nick Saban, right? Bill Belichick. These coaches that are like that, like that's how you get a successful program. And even like John Harbaugh, I would say, I know they're going through it right now in Baltimore, but him, Tomlin, they've been there for 20 years. There's a reason for that. And you can also be fun. Look at McVay. McVay became the head coach when he was 31. Younger than what I am now, he became the head coach, right? Like he's not even 40 yet. But there's a way to handle that. And also the one thing that you always say that I agree with you on is like when you're winning, it's not as exposed.
Yes, correct. But I'll just say this, but just challenge yourself. Go to basketball, Greg Popovich, Phil Jackson, Steve Kerr. Just look at anybody, even the guy, what is his name? The Boston coach. I don't know, I'm drawing a blank.
Joe Mazzulla?
Joe Mazzulla, right?
Yeah.
When you just think about people who've achieved a lot, you think of serious people. You know what I'm saying? These are the people who have to influence men to do hard shit day in and day out. You just said it a few seconds ago. It's not easy to win a championship. A bunch of shit has to go right. So the person who's responsible for influencing these people has to be a serious individual. And I think that's where it starts. And when you have Tua Tagovailoa doing the whining, the crying, he's just expressing himself. It is a recipe for disaster. It is a recipe also saying that people on his own team don't respect him. They don't respect him. They don't respect the coach. And so when people don't respect you, they're not about to go all out for you to do anything for you. You may be able to get encouraged for 1 game, 2 games, or 3 games, but when shit gets hard again, I don't love you enough to go all out for you. So the Dolphins' whole season will be shitty. I can predict that. I don't know how you can bet on that, but they're going to have a rough go at it just because people don't believe in one another.
Oh yeah, I agree with you. There were so every year we have this fun segment in the off season where we talk about win totals, and win totals. Another thing, a lot of like your casual betting fans, they don't like betting on that, right? Like it's usually -110, -110, over 8.5 wins or under 8.5 wins, and then you got to dedicate your $200 say for 6 months. So people don't like that. People don't like that. That's called the futures market, right? And professional bettors like win totals. My favorite win total the last 2 years was the Titans last year under. The year before that, it was the Giants under. And then this year was Miami under. I just thought it was going to implode, and it was looking really, really close. I wish they didn't play the Jets in week 4 because they'd probably be winless still, and maybe he would have been the first coach fired. But I agree with you, man. You're right about like the culture that you build. It makes everything, and any line of work, right? Like I know you're a business owner, and you're involved in so many different projects. You always tell me about that, like what you're building, the team you're building, they got to kind of follow that lead and have that same attitude, or else it's not going to be successful.
No, I can tell you that. And I run a few different businesses across different industries, but it's all team-oriented stuff. It's attitude, it's mentality, it's the will to go above and beyond. And so the same reasons that Ohio State has success on the football field are the same reasons that I have success in business. Like you're trying to get people to be more than what they are. You're constantly trying to motivate them. You're constantly trying to pay attention to the details on a daily basis. You're constantly doing that. You're constantly reminding, and it's exhausting. And everybody doesn't have it. I know how much work it takes for me to get up every day and do some of the things that I do to motivate, encourage, and get people to be more than or be more and do more than what they naturally want to do. And it's just a tough and hard thing. And so when I come to the sporting world, it's easy to see. And when you know what influences people or you know why people follow you, I don't care that we're playing sport. If you have the thing inside of you, pause. Or you've been conditioned to see what influences people and you don't see it in other coaches, it becomes very easy to see why organizations don't flourish.
Last thing I want to talk to you about before we sign off. And this could not age horribly too much because he's playing well this year, but at the time when this goes up, it'll be the day of the Steelers playing the Bengals. But more so, I wanted to ask you about perception. My friends and I have been talking about this for a while now. I feel like Aaron Rodgers' biggest rival in his career, if you're looking at like quarterback versus quarterback, was Russell Wilson. A guy that he had to either go through in the playoffs. They played each other twice in the playoffs, both 1-1. But like Seattle was always going to be the team in Green Bay's way, and then vice versa. And the parallels between their two careers, I don't know if many people have realized, like it's pretty similar. Like at their peak, right? Rodgers has won more MVPs. They both have one Super Bowl. They both been to 10 Pro Bowls, however you feel about the Pro Bowl. The day that Huntley on the Ravens made the Pro Bowl, I was like, all right, I might be out on this whole Pro Bowl being a good thing conversation. He was like the 19th alternative going over there. But shout to Huntley to making the Pro Bowl. But my question to you is, the perception of Aaron Rodgers by the media is not what it is by his peers. And then Russell Wilson's perception by the media is not what it is by his peers. Russell Wilson is like Mr. Perfect by the media. PC answers, team first, all that stuff. But every player, dude, they don't say the nicest things about Russell Wilson, from the Legion of Boom, Marshawn Lynch, Doug Baldwin. No one comes out to defend this guy. But then Aaron Rodgers gets dragged by the media, is hated by the media. And look, during the pandemic, he was a very polarizing figure. People were losing their minds. People still haven't recovered from the pandemic. And Rodgers was saying a lot of things and doing a lot of things, believing in something, his entitlement. But how polarizing things were during that time is like, oh, this guy's a piece of shit. I had friends that were Jet fans that wanted him to not be Hall of Fame eligible. And then when he signed with the Jets, they bought his jersey. And I was just sitting back like, now it benefits you, so you're for it. Okay, cool. As long as we're on the same page, right? But dude, Aaron Rodgers, all former players, like outside of Greg Jennings, he's the only one that trashed them one time. But I feel like a lot of receivers do when they leave their quarterback and then they realize they don't have the same kind of success. I know I've been rambling, long-winded. Do you agree with this?
I get what you're saying.
But do you hear me on this thing with like perception isn't always reality? And like, why do you think that is with these two guys? Because I think their careers are awfully similar.
So even when you sent the question over, it was a great question, but but the answer that came to my mind was very quick. The media takes Russell Wilson, and he's just a good figure to promote, right? He's going to talk well, he's going to look well, he's going to dress right, and he's going to be able to sell whatever product. So they're going to keep him in that space, right? But when you talk about sports is grungy, dirty, nasty, relatable. No one's better than anybody else, regardless of the money that we make, right? And Russell Wilson projects that to people. Ever since I've heard about Marshawn Lynch or Richard Sherman or Doug Baldwin or any of these guys talk about him, they talk about him as if he's above the game. And sports is the great equalizer of all. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, from the inner city, suburbs. Like when people get between the lines or when people go play basketball, whatever it is that they do, uh, it's everybody, and we're all competing for this common thing, and nobody's better than one another. And I think that Russell projects, whether he's aware of it or not, that I'm better than this. Like I happen to be playing football with you all, and it seems like a favor to you all, right? Where Aaron Rodgers, man, is just more relatable. Like I'm taking the majority of his career, right? You take the majority of Aaron Rodgers' career with him balling, being on Green Bay being a prominent NFL franchise, and you take the political stuff away, and he's just a more relatable dude, just a baller. Somebody who took shit from Brett Favre when he first came into the league, but grinded his way up and grinded to make Green Bay what it was for a number of those years, right? And I think that you can take the stats away, but just from a personality thing, before he kind of got with Pat McAfee and got into the media, he had won more people over just from being like an everyday Joe, working in a blue collar town, working his ass off, and actually going to do the thing. Russell, the knocks against Russell is that he had a phenomenal defense, right?
Mm,
I don't think you can look back over Green Bay and say that Green Bay ever had a defense that carried Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying?
right.
And when you look at Russell Wilson, it's that thing, man. Just nobody's better than anybody else, and when you carry yourself like that, it just rubs people the wrong way. And I'll stop right here because I can ramble on about this, but when Marshawn Lynch said that he didn't have Russell Wilson's cell phone number and this is your quarterback, um, that just lets me know how you may feel about people or how people feel about you. Just these small little tidbit moments of like interpersonal skills that you're supposed to have with one another and connections. And when I heard that, I was like, yo, this is just like a different dude. And now that, the game is over and he's not doing well and people ask their real opinion about him, I don't want to say that they're shitting on him. They're just speaking facts in regards to their experience with him. And so, he has to own that. And one day, hopefully, he get that right with people that he shitted on.
Nah, I couldn't agree with you more, man. And like that's close to home because he's on the Giants and he started those first couple of games. And, the whole summer, I just kept saying, even before Jackson Dart played in the preseason, dude, I just kept saying, like, listen, you took him in the first round. Russ is on a 1-year deal. It's not like he's on a 6-year contract and, he's the franchise quarterback definitively. And yeah, let's ease Jackson Dart into it. I'm a fan of the unknown. That's why I didn't want to have a regular corporate job and, doing all the shit that, traditional people do. I'm a risk taker. I like to bet on myself, and I wanted to figure out this content stuff, and I'm glad that I did. And I'm a fan of the unknown. Like I rather chase that than chase, like I had a someone that I was working with once say, when I was gonna move out to Vegas, or before I moved out to Vegas, they were like, dude, you're gonna be making this kind of money. And I was like, listen, bro, I'm not moving 3,000 miles away to just make this kind of money. I'm gonna chase it and really fucking get after it and hopefully make more, right? And I say all that because I just love the unknown. And I felt like you should have just went with Jackson Dart from the beginning, because how many times do we see rookie quarterbacks come into the league and they just take the league by storm because it's the unknown. You don't have footage on them. And then you see in year two, you see the drop off. We've seen it with CJ Stroud. Hell, you've seen it with Bo Nix. I don't think Bo Nix has been playing that great in his second year. You see it happen a lot. Jaden Daniels, he's not running all over the place like he was. And I know he got hurt early in the year and he missed a game or two and then he came back. But now they got tape on you. Even the best of quarterbacks, once they see you. So my whole thing with Russell Wilson was just like, you got outplayed by this rookie in the preseason anyway. So why are we doing this? And then that's why now, to your point, just to put a bow on this conversation, because I do feel like this is something we might need to revisit like in the offseason, because I think there's more legs to this conversation, man. I really do, because it does seem like people are picking on him now that he's down. Because to your point, like you talk about it with the culture, you talk about it with the wide receivers before, when you're winning, people put up with your BS. Now you're not winning.
Yeah, but just even to say that though, like man, and this is more. You said two things in regards to life that really kind of got me. And the first thing you said, like the being a fan of the unknown, and the unknown is life. Predictability to me isn't life. Predictability can help you build and sustain things, but life in itself, to me, is a discovery where you don't know what's going on, but you believe in yourself enough to go and do that thing. And then I thought about Cam Scatterbo, however you say his name, and also Jackson Dart, right? But what do they remind you of? They remind you of just your everyday guys, grungy, happy to play football, relatable, hugging them, loving them, taking their shirts off in the middle of the field, just being guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is football, bro. You know what I'm saying? That is what influences people. That's what creates connection. Even when I'm sure you've seen the highlight video and guys are like, yo, could you give me your favorite impression of Cam Scatterbo? And everybody's like, he's acting wild and saying silly stuff and being a joke. But that's what sports is. That's like being a dude, right? And when you don't have that, or when that's taken out of the equation of sports and you try to make sports too corporate, or you think you're better than people, then people obviously have feelings towards you that at some point will come out. And that's Russell Wilson's situation. But again, he has to own that because he actually did those things. All of those people aren't saying all of those things just to pick on him. They're just saying, hey man, even though we won, and we won because of the Legion of Boom as well, you weren't the best of a teammate, you know, and that's my take on the whole thing.
Nah, for sure, man. And I couldn't agree with you more because I feel like the number one rule in team sports is you can't quit on your teammates. Like you can't,
No.
you can never quit on your teammates. You can never throw them under the bus. If you're going to do it in private. And then, you know, even going back to Tua talking about leadership, it's like, bro, you wear the C on your jersey. What leadership are we talking about? You're the captain. You know what I mean? And then the last thing too, like, you said something really profound before, which I've always made joke about it, but also like being 100% serious that, you know, growing up playing sports as a white guy, when you got the black kids to co-sign you in sports, bro, that was like,
You made it.
yeah. Listen, I'm a 5'10" white dude, bro. When the black kids on the team were like, yo, we got white boy, you were like, oh, for real? You guys read that? You want me to play? Like that was a big cosign. And then, you know, I think about like Cam Scatterbo being a white running back, right? Like let's be honest.
Yes.
I've been seeing a lot of people being like, how did he go in the fourth round? He's a 5'9", 4'7", 40 white running back. That's how he.
But
he's a baller, man. He's a baller. Listen, let's be honest. Maybe I can say it. I can get away with it.
He's a baller. Yes.
Yeah, but he balls.
Yes.
He balls, and his teammates love him. And he does a lot of, you know, he's picking up blitzes that I haven't seen running. Like Saquon Barkley wasn't picking up blitzes like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I know they just played last week, and Barkley's I'm not comparing the two, but I'm saying like already 3 games in to pick up blitzes on 3rd and 8s. It's crazy. So he's doing a lot of the things that as a player, as an athlete, you're like, yo, I'll go to war with that guy, as they say. And that's what you see with the Giants social media with these two. They're like, man, these guys are fucking crazy, but we love it though, because they are crazy and they do things for us.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can influence people like that when you're one of the people, when you with the people, when you stand with the people, when you fighting with the people, when people see that you love it and you're just like them. That's just how you influence people. That's how you create culture. Now you have to win, you have to throw the ball to your teammates and do all of the other things. But that thing right there, it is very hard to find passion. He is a passionate dude. He wants to play football. He wants to practice every day. His teammates see it. So now I'm pretty sure the front office is like, well, how do we put all the other shit in place? And that's where like that professional culture must come in place, the rigorous, detailed stuff of just like winning like a champion. So I don't know. Those guys make me happy. Like you even look at me when you're talking about them, I'm smiling.
Yeah.
So just imagine being in a locker room with these dudes and it's time to go play with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's football. Even I'm talking about it gets me excited, gets fans excited, get people excited. So that's sports, man. All that fucking I'm better than you. Give him a parking spot. Fucking show up like I'm a president, bro. Fucking throw some clothes on. Let's try to fucking win.
Yeah, man. And just the last thing, because like this could definitely age horribly because they play Denver this week. Even though I do like the 7.5 for the Giants, just because again the unknown. I think Denver coming off a London game, now having to play I think the Giants, you're looking at them, they're 2-4, but they're really 2-1 since they made these changes. And hell, even the Saints game, they just had five turnovers on the last 5 possessions. That game spiraled out. The thing that you mentioned there is the energy and the passion. Like, dude, even in the preseason game, Malik Neighbors didn't play with Jackson Dart. He's running onto the field to chest bump Jackson Dart. And it's like, how do you run Russell Wilson out there? The team looked so flat. And it's like the spark. And again, what I've been saying is the unknown, man, the unknown. So as a Giants fan, I'm really excited. You should be excited, at least for this week, because I think the Browns are going to bring it home. I think Judkins, shout out to Ohio State, I think he has his coming out party against Miami. He's in the anytime touchdown parlay. I think he has a monster game because the matchup is just so good for the Browns against the Dolphins. But Mo, I can't wait to have you come out to Vegas, bro, so we can connect. Definitely have you on the show, have you on all the shows, get these helmets signed finally from one of the best to ever do it. Maurice Clarett, ladies and gentlemen. Mo, tell the people about your show and where they can find it before we wrap.
You can find us every day at 5 p.m. on the Come and Talk to Me network. It is called Start with the Facts. One of the funnest things I do is create content. I never thought in my life that I would have fun creating content. It is probably the most coolest, funnest, and rewarding thing I've ever do. So start with the facts every day, 5 p.m. Myself and there's 3 other co-hosts that I'm pretty sure you would enjoy listening to, laughing with, and just having a good time with sports in general. So every day, 5 p.m. on the Come and Talk to Me network.
We're going to have the links to that show in the bio of this episode. As far as we go, we're going to sign off right now in studio. All things Veterans Minimum are at Veterans Minimum. At Nick Dais 10 as you can find me. Rate, review, subscribe, comment. Follow us on all social media platforms. Second half of the show, George and I run through our Week 7 picks. We'll catch you guys next time. All right, from the studio, with a little Houdini act, we're in the crib. George is here, like we mentioned. George is traveling, getting it in. So we are recording this segment earlier than usual. I'm excited to always connect with my bro, George. Week 7 picks. Coming off probably the best individual pick week for the Patreon.
Definitely.
For myself, for anytime touchdowns. We had, obviously, the Bijan Robinson plug has been great, getting awesome feedback on that. I do have our records overall right here.
You've broken 500, my friend. Congratulations. This took us 6 weeks. At least took you 6 weeks. I'm clawing, bro. I wouldn't even be able to make it back to 500 this week going 5-0. That sucks.
Yeah. But hey, man, listen, you got to remember one thing too, right? Some of these picks are plus money, right? So, like, for example, just gonna say, Ursulita's 2-4 for me, but there's also a plus 550 hit with the Jalen Hurts 2 touchdowns and 200 yards as an Ursulita. So the records could be deceiving, brother.
Especially when our first touchdown hits on Thursday Night Football one of these nights, it's going to be, we are officially 1-7 on the season, but we're profiting $35.
Yeah.
If we go for chalk, bro. But I haven't been going for chalk. I fucking called Jackson Dart to you the day before that I went to the studio and I saw you and I was like, it's Jackson Dart. I'm going to go with him. And then you're like, no, you got to go Scattaboo. And I changed my mind. I'll never forgive myself. I got Austin over here trying to distract me, but it's not going to happen. Training partner of yours.
Yeah, that's not cool. We can't have that happen. We wouldn't do that to his show if he was doing it. So
and I get to engineer his show after this. So I'm gonna definitely fuck with him.
Yeah.
Just checking on you. I'm not trying to distract you.
Shout out to Austin.
Shout out to Austin for sure.
All right. Listen, real quick, let's just run through the records of the picks overall. So I'm 15, 14, and 1. We do have, trust me, is 5-1. Toxic One is 5-1. Becky is 2-3-1. In this economy, I can't hit a spread in this economy if my life depended on it. 0-3, but we're 1-2 anytime touchdown props. Ursulita is 2-4. George, before you get into what your record is up to date, I want to just mention one more time because there seems to be confusion with one particular pick that we do every week. We like to make it different. We don't want to say our lock and our fade. We come up with funny names to give the show some character, to give a little like insider trading type of information where it's like, if you understand and follow the show, you understand what these picks mean. So the toxic one, ladies and gentlemen, it's basically we're playing the dog or we're not playing anything, right? It's a line that maybe there's 80% of the tickets are coming in on that, right? Maybe it's the line movement has gotten so ridiculous that it just seems fishy. And it's a scenario where we're either going to play the underdog or we're definitely not playing the favorite.
Correct.
So like last week, for example, my toxic one, which hit last week, my toxic one, as I'm pulling it up right now, where was it? Toxic one was Cowboys -3.5. There was no way I'm playing the Cowboys -3, -3.5. It just felt very suspicious, and the Panthers end up winning outright. So it's basically, in not so many words, it's the fade. Don't play that one, play the dog. So just wanted to add that disclaimer. What are your picks up to date?
I'll start with my toxic one to explain how I lost this week. I had Raiders -4.5, and they end up covering in a fashion that got Callahan fired. And like this was a big win for the Raiders and a course correction. We had stated last week, early in the week, that if you bet this game, you're an absolute sicko. And by the end of the week, we're like, well, we have to bet them. The Titans are that bad. And I just thought this was a toxic one because I thought the Titans would fight a little bit harder for them, and they didn't. Their coach isn't there anymore, and now they have to go on the rest of their season continuing to be the favorites to be the number one pick for the following year. So I lost that bet. My toxic one currently for the season is 2-4 overall. The next one I'll go over is my Ursulita. Is I'm 2-4 there. I took the Seahawks money line last week, so that was a hit. That was plus money as well. So that's a prime example of my record doesn't fully indicate the winnings, baby. In this economy has been really successful this year. I'm 4-3, 3-2 coming in the props department, where last week I hit Rico Daddle anytime touchdown at +110 in the greatest revenge game to have ever existed. My Becky that so far this season is 4-2. I took Lions money line last week. I went with the public. I led the charge, really. I was saying it early in the week. I said it for my Monday winner the week before, and they failed. They failed me. My final pick, and I saved this one for last, Nick, because it's officially time that we change the name of Trust Me for me, because I'm 0-6 this season in my Trust Me bet. I took the Colts -7. The Cardinals, little did I know Jacoby Brissett was having his revenge game. Lost out on that one, even though the Colts looked phenomenal throughout the entire game. They don't cover the points. So I am now 0-6 for Trust Me. Nick, what do we do about this?
Well, what I think we do, George, is we start parlaying my Trust Me and fading your Trust Me. And if we did that, we would be 11-1.
That's crazy to think.
Now you're talking about, listen, that's what we start doing. In this economy, for me, maybe you fade that because I'm 0-3 against the spread in this economy. Becky is starting to climb back. We're one game behind 500. We have a record like the Dallas Cowboys, 2-3-1 on the season. But yeah, man, look, Trust Me there's a couple of contests out there, dude, that you basically have to pick one game against the spread, like a survivor. And that is like, some contests have ended already, right? Like
For
you
sure.
would have to be 6-0 in order to be this. And like, even Trust Me, I think started off 0-1, but we're on a 5-game winning streak right now. So it's cool. I gotta say, man, shout out to the fans for real, because for as much as I love winning bets, only people in the betting space will understand what I'm about to say. The stimulation that I feel in the male region of my body whenever a fan sends me a betting slip of a bet they made because of the show. They're not a sponsor anymore, but I wouldn't even need Blue Chew. I legitimately, bro, it feels the same way. Like, a lot of people bet the Falcons and the Bears on Monday Night Football because they were Patreon picks, and also obviously the Falcons were the Trust Me, and we had all the graphics and all that. Like, I legit feel the same way, bro. Like, even sometimes I don't make the bet that I say on the show, and like some people do. And my absolute favorite thing, George, that happens is when like we don't really. I see this happen more in fantasy. Like last year, we don't really talk too much fantasy on the show.
Right.
The parallels between fantasy and betting there's so many of them. So many people were like, dude, I had the 6th pick in my league and I took Saquon. Thank you. Or I took Derrick Henry because you kept saying like, yo, Derrick Henry going to Baltimore. All these things, like that's even cooler because it's like, we're not really telling you, but you're making the effort on your own. And it really gets me excited, George.
For sure, bro. I mean, it goes to show that we know enough ball that people are willing to at least hear us out. And I think that we present so many lines week in and week out that even though our records don't necessarily reflect it, like we take big shots, and when we hit, like everybody gets paid and it looks good. Like there's a way to not be like a 3 condom bettor, but still have a really fun time betting props that like, bro, we spend time looking at this shit. Like it's a blessing that we get to do this for a living. Like people got 8 hours a day where they got to work, and it's up to us to provide them with the little nuggets of information, that can make them a profitable bettor for sure.
I love it. Shout out to all the fans. Make sure you rate, review, subscribe, follow us on all social media outlets. All right, George.
Yes.
Let's get right into it.
I am
going to lead with in this economy.
Let's do it.
I am going to go with the LA Chargers as -1.5 point favorites at home against the Indianapolis Colts. This is going to be the second time that the Colts go out west to the Chargers building, I should say. Daniel Jones with the New York Giants was 3-13, making starts outside of the Eastern and Central time zone. He would be -$1,100 on $100 made, wagers made. The least profitable quarterback against the spread in the NFL. I bring that up, George, because things have changed since he's gone to a team with a capable offense and a very knowledgeable and great head coach. Do you hear that in the background?
No. Is Dars going crazy? Oh, actually a little bit.
Yeah. Can we stop? You're interrupting the show, bro.
That's crazy.
As he sprawled out.
He's making it about himself again, bro.
Always this selfish puppy. Anyway, let's get back to this, right? Daniel Jones as a favorite this year is 4-0. However, he is not a favorite. I think Jim Harbaugh, this is a type of game that he controls the clock, and I think they get back to the winning ways that they have, coming off a big win for them in Miami after stopping a 2-game losing streak. Jim Harbaugh is 31, 14, and 3 against the spread when the line either doesn't move from its opening to the closing line. So if it stays at -1.5, he is a monster. And here, for example, check this out, bro. This moved from -6 Chargers in the summer to now -1.5. Obviously, the Colts are a lot better than what we expected, but are they 4.5 points better? Listen, Justin Herbert as an underdog, love him. Under a field goal, love him. I'm taking the Chargers -5.5. I know I was long-winded for in this economy for me.
This is a classic matchup in which we're going to get to see if the Colts can outdo the Chargers at what we perceived was going to be the Chargers' game plan going into the year. They're humming, bro. I'm just saying, they tread cautiously with Danny Dimes right now. And if it does end up fizzling out, it was a good run at the beginning of the year. But week 2 or week 3, when I put in the Daniel Jones to win MVP at 70-1, just looks better and better and better every fucking week. We missed on Hurts. Maybe come back. I don't know. Can I ask you this question? Because I have to know based on our MVP pick. I know Jalen Hurts has looked atrocious. If he goes off the rest of the year, we'll forget about the first half of the year, right? Like the recency, like it won't even come into people's minds that he looked so pedestrian at the beginning of the year.
Yes,
Correct?
absolutely. You are 100% right. Hell, I'd even say you're 120% right. The problem is if the guys that have been good so far continue to be good, then it's like, hey, man, they've been doing it from 1 to 18. You've been doing it from hopefully 7 to 18, right? It hasn't looked good because we needed them to go at worst 15-2. So they got to win out the rest of the way. And there's a lot of chink in the armor, as they say, for the Eagles. But to your point, yes, you should feel good. And listen, it's really frustrating, and people in the betting community understand this, but even some people in the betting community don't understand this. So, like the Bijan Robinson stuff right now, right? He's the second favorite consensus behind Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor consensus plus 160 to win Offensive Player of the Year. Bijan Robinson plus 300. Derrick Henry and Barkley were like this last year.
Yep.
You look at the schedules, bro, there's a lot of like 200 yards from scrimmage games for Bijan Robinson. I'm not tripping. I'm tripping about Jalen Hurts because we took him at 20-1. He's 40-1 now. I'm tripping about Travis Hunter 10-1 to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Now he's 80-1. Yeah, I'm tripping about that stuff. When it moves in your favor, that's good. That means that you have the best of the number, right? I always bring up the story, bro, when we had Bill Krakenberger, shout out to Bill, when he came on the show for the Super Bowl between the Niners and the Chiefs. And the most heavily wagered MVP was Travis Kelce. Remember, that was the first Kelce Taylor Swift, right?
Yep.
And I was like, yo, Bill, what do you think of Travis Kelce to win a Super Bowl MVP? He's like, oh, I hate it. Everyone's on it. 6-1, no go. I go, well, what about 65-1? He goes, what do you mean? I was like, I bet him at the start of the playoffs. He goes, that's a different ball game, right? You're holding a 65-1 as opposed to a 6-1. Way different. So it's kind of what I'm saying here, right?
Yep.
Whereas Bijan Robinson, yeah, he's not the favorite yet. A third of the season has gone by. Fun fact, he has 800 yards from scrimmage in one less game. I feel good about it. I feel very good about it. But yeah, I just wanted to explain that before we move on.
For sure. Okay. Well, I will go on with my In This Economy pick since that's what you just made. And I, this week, am going to back the Cowboys hosting the Commanders this week. I understand the downside of betting the Cowboys is the fact that the scoreboard's going to get lit up and Dak Prescott just needs to make shit out of nothing. George Pickens has been playing out of his mind, but still, when you look at what that offense could be with both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens in there, I mean, come on, it's night and day. Like, how can you back the Cowboys right now? But I will say that this better than anybody because you follow the NFC East. The Cowboys have got the Commanders' number, bro. And this dates back, the last 4 years. The Cowboys have covered the spread in the last 7 of their last 8 games against the Commanders, including 4 straight covers at home and 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 versus Washington at home. So the Cowboys, they play difficult, or they play tough, especially against a divisional foe. And I'm going to overlook the defensive side on this. But I did see that the Bears were able to put up 9 fourth quarter points against the Commanders. And worst comes to worst, I get a shot at the end with Dak Prescott and a chance to resurrect, the Cowboys' path right now. I mean, that was a very, very tragic loss last week against the Panthers. And this is a get right spot. And you can get the Cowboys at home, really tough home team at plus 114 right now on the money line. That's my In This Economy for this week.
So, full transparency, it's not one of my picks, but it's like honorable mention. I'm with you on this. Another thing with Dak Prescott, 10-3 against the number. Best against the spread record versus Washington in the last 20 years of any quarterback. Granted, they play them twice a year, right? We understand. But this dude, man, you're talking about a guy who has covered close to 70% of his games in division. He plays well when it's teams that he sees often. Dare I say, probably the best quarterback in division against the number of my lifetime. He just always, the games are always going to be close, and he covers the spread as an underdog and as a favorite. And you're right. The other thing about this game, a lot of points, I believe, are on the horizon. It's a pass funnel, run funnel, whatever you want to do funnel with the Cowboys defense. I think Jaden Daniels in this offense, if they could get a Terry McLaurin back. But even without him, like Luke McCaffrey, shout out to the Patreon, plus 450 anytime touchdown on Monday night. Hey, now he got into the end zone. I think you're going to see something where a lot of guys are going to be putting up points on the Cowboys this year. And they're a team that they light up the scoreboards. So if this game, George, closes over 53 points, which it is right now, it would be the highest over-under in this matchup since 1983. Our boy Michael Irvin wasn't even on the Cowboys yet. That's how long ago this will have been. So, yeah, I like the Cowboys there, man. I like the Cowboys in that spot. I think it's great. Let's go to – I'm going to go to – what else did you want to add? Sorry.
No. I was going to say, do you want to snake it? I can lead us to our next one.
Yeah, let's do it.
Best bet of the week are Becky.
Okay.
I don't want to spend too much time on this. How do the Patriots not beat the Titans by 25 points? This is a spot in which they've proven it, for multiple weeks in a row now that their offense can be something that you need to take serious. They're starting to develop that physical identity that everybody was saying, well, Vrabel isn't out there playing. Like, the guys have to, buy into it. Well, turns out they have. And in a spot like this versus the Titans, who just fired their coach, I mean, there's a number that backs the Titans on this, and the number being that in the last decade before the firing or resignation of all the coaches that have been fired in the last decade, the teams had won 27.5 of their games straight up and 36.5% of the games against the spread. After the firing, they went 33% straight up and 48% against the spread. A decent improvement, right? So studies show that the Titans should be able to bounce back. I just don't think it's in this week, especially with Vrabel going back to the place that, you know, we once thought that would be the end of his coaching career, and chance he gets to resurrect it and really stick it to him. I mean, I think that this is going to be an assault. Dare I say bounty gate level worth of investigation if there's injuries on the Titans end. You might see it though. If I was a Titans player, I'd probably be looking to fake an injury, you know, coast it throughout November, and then before you know it, I'm in Cabo rehabbing until we have to go to OTAs. So I love the Patriots -7.5, and if you want to get froggy with it, take that alternate line all the way up to 14.5, 15.5. They're going to cover.
You know, man, this is, if I had to pick a game that I had the most like yin yang to it, it'd be this one, right? Because you're right. Coaches that get fired, teams are 11-11 against the spread in that first game. There was a stretch there where it was like a 4-game winning streak, and everyone was getting excited. But it's like, well, yeah, sometimes the coach gets fired because the team just fucking sucks, and that could be the case with the Titans. The most alarming thing about everything that you said, and I should say what you didn't mention, is that this is the 3rd straight road game for the Pats. And it's a spot that is very, very rare for teams. It doesn't happen often. I believe there's only 2 other teams in the league that this is happening to. One of them was Cleveland, if you factor in the 2 London games,
right,
and then playing last week in New England. Teams that are playing their 3rd game of a road trip after going 2-0 straight up in the first 2 games are 15-27 straight up, 16-24-2 over the last 20 years. That's the one side, George. The other side is that the Titans suck.
Yes. Yes.
and now we got the Vrabel element of, look, I still consider him the best pound-for-pound coach in the league. What he was doing with the Titans, those teams had no business being as good as they were. So I'm for it, man. I'm for it. I'll tell you this much: I ain't betting the Titans. Rather bet, and I'll add another wrinkle. I would go as far as saying I'm not betting the Pats -7.5. If I bet this, it's an alternate spread -13.5. Like, it's either gonna, I think it's a blowout, or one of those games where back to Nashville we go. We cannot believe that Drake May is 18 of 37 with 2 interceptions. What is, you know, like, it could be one of those also. But I'm with you, man. I think it's Pats, and Pats big, I should say. So I like it.
Yeah. There's no in between in this game.
Yeah.
There's no in between. You hit me with your Becky.
Okay. Oh. The New York Giants +7.
I have the Giants as well, but you're not going to like the pick that I have for the Giants.
Okay, listen. I don't. I'll be honest. All right. Can I give you? I'm going to give you 2 scenarios for this. I'm going to give you the Giants fan, and then I'm going to give you what I would do in this spot as a bettor. Is that fair?
Fair.
Okay. The Giants are 2-1 since starting Jackson Dart. Their 2 wins are against the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, and the LA Chargers. Both, one was in division, short week. The other one, the Chargers, were coming from the West Coast, injured offensive line. The Giants last played last Thursday. Denver was just in London. No bye week, now playing at home. It's a spot where I just like it for the Giants with the spark of the new quarterback and the new offense and the identity and the momentum that they have. Like, bro, has there been a 2-4 team ever with this much hype? Like, there's still 60-1 to win the division. Like, anyone else you're looking at this, you're like, you're fucking, I'd use a different word. You're fucking crazy to bet them, right?
Right.
But there's a lot of attention. Like, it's cool. The Giants are one of the more popular franchises in the league. So it's one of those where, like, I don't want to compare them to the Knicks. I know they're both in New York, but, like, feels like the NFL is cooler when the Giants are good and serviceable. You have a New York team good and serviceable. Am I biased because I'm a fan? I could be. But I'm looking at it from that perspective of them coming over from London, right? We highlighted it last week. I really, really loved the Steelers. Granted, different scenario. The Steelers were at home playing an in-division opponent, but I like that scenario for the Giants. However, the flip side of me, if I was a bettor, the momentum is crazy for the Giants. Like, this is still a 2-4 team.
Yep.
And coming off a massive win that they had, Daboll is 9-1 against the number, and he's 3-6 on the road after a big win. You want to know why there's a small sample size of games, George? Because there's a small sample size of wins. So we don't really have 37 games to go off of. But I like the Giants because I think there's a spark that has happened. And I think Jackson Dart is he's so delusional right now that to him, he's like, bro, I just beat the defending champs. I beat y'all MVP. Remember, Herbert was like Herbert in week 4 when they played was getting the buzz that Baker's getting now. And he's like, this y'all king? So I just think they're delusional and they're playing with a different fire. I like that +7 for the Giants.
Can I add on to the Jackson Dart delusion even more? Bro,
Sure.
One day you and I are going to go to Ole Miss in Oxford, Mississippi, and we're going to experience a football game there. And it's going to be amazing, right? Nick, it's going to blow your mind how this small rural town in the middle of nowhere is one of the most lit places ever. And then you take that kid, right, who was in the middle of nowhere, not having much experience with the big city life. I get he's from Utah or whatever, but then you put him in New York with that swagger and that charisma, bro. He's just got to ride the wave. And if he does a really good job of keeping his head on straight, like, and not allowing, any slumps to get to him, which, by the way, huge bounce back week this week. I said I picked the Giants, and I told you you're not going to like the pick that I have for the Giants because it's my trust me. The trust me was the Giants +7. Do I think they'll win outright? No. However, I do know that this team, that if it wasn't for turnover fiasco, bro, 3-0 since the Dart switch, and everybody's like, holy shit, this is the new best, people should really put them as contenders for best team in the NFC with the way that they've performed and the teams that they've beat. So I have them for my trust me. And, I'm hoping to get right. My trust me is 0-6 right now, though. And I hope that doesn't worry you that I'm picking the Giants +7. But I saw one thing that, is helpful for understanding Brian Daboll on extended rest, which is always a big thing. We talk about coaches on Thursday Night Football. They get to play that following Sunday. He's 7-4 against the spread, and he's 500 against the spread or better in all 3 seasons. On 10 days rest, he's 5-2 against the spread. So he's able to get good game plans in. And you had listed that the Broncos are coming off of what can only be considered as one of the worst offensive performances in the Sean Payton era. I mean, to put up only 13 points on that Jets team is insanity. I love the Giants. +7. They're my trust me.
Yeah, and last thing, I didn't pick this Rams-Jaguars game because it's London, bro. Shit is so dumb out there. Like, just a lot of wacky shit happens. And again, this game is going to be in London. Bro, you want to hear something crazy? I don't know if you caught this, but yesterday I went down a rabbit hole of Falcons and Colts games the rest of the year. And you know that the Falcons and the Colts actually play each other this year? And they fucking are making the game in Berlin, Germany.
No.
What a fucking letdown. How is that not... Dude, I would have loved that game to be played in Indy, right? Offensive Player of the Year versus Offensive Player of the Year. Derrick Henry played Barkley last year, and I don't remember exactly how the game went. I remember the Eagles won, and Cooper DeJean had that open field tackle on Derrick Henry, which was like one of the crazier plays of the year. And it's like, oh my God, why do you... Such a classic. That could have been a bar fight, bro. We'd ladder both of them, right? Like,
yep.
we would go crazy. But the fact that they're moving it overseas, it's just a lot of wacky shit. But yeah, I just wanted to bring that up to you. And just to put a bow on this conversation with the Broncos coming from overseas. I want to say my Ursulita.
Let's get to the Ursulitas, and we'll save the toxic one for last.
Okay, George, let me just ask you a quick question. What do we say about Patrick Mahomes when it comes to betting on him?
You're going to feel dumb holding that ticket for the other team, like how I did last week, holding that money line ticket.
That is a very fair assessment. We have said that in the past, but more so, I wanted you to think a little bit outside the box. What do we say about him? The spots we should bet him in, like when is it
under a touchdown favorite? So anything 7 points or less with Patrick Mahomes, he covers those. But when it gets above a touchdown, try to avoid those. Am I correct?
Yes, you are absolutely spot on. Shout out to George for.
I'm learning too, people.
Yeah,
we're doing this together.
I like that he's not just hearing; he's listening. It's a big pet peeve of mine. A lot of people hear, but they don't listen. Anyway, Raiders plus 12.5. All right. I know it's gross. Therefore, it is Ursulita for week 7. Shout out to Ursulita Cordero once again. Great girl. One of my favorites of all time. Spanish up. Anyway, as a favorite, to George's point, of a touchdown or more since 2020, Mahomes is 36-2 straight up. We love that. I'm taking him an eliminator this week if you guys are still around. However, 13-24-1 against the spread. Bettors have lost over $1,200 on a $100 sample size. Ready for this, bro? The worst of 48 eligible quarterbacks in that time frame. This guy's the GOAT. He is the MVP favorite right now. But I like Ursulita 12.5 for the Raiders. Look, it's bad. It's ugly. Geno Smith to have a turnover should be minus 1,200. It's going to be worrisome. But on a serious note, for some odd reason, I know it's in division, but the Raiders always play them tough. This is their Super Bowl twice a year. I just like the Raiders to cover the 12.5. It's something that I always like to do in division. If I could get double-digit points, I'm always going to take it. And ready for this caveat, I'm not saying that they're going to lose outright, but his 2 straight-up losses as a touchdown favorite or more since 2020, both been to the Raiders.
Oh, yeah.
So
Raiders fans talk about those wins. I mean, that's the only thing Raiders fans talk about literally year round, bro. Like,
bro, listen, yo, you're so right. Shout out to Raider Nation. We live in the heart of Raider Nation right now. But those 2 wins over the Chiefs,
Super Bowls,
comparable to 07 and 11 for the Giants winning Super Bowls. It's like, bro, we beat the Chiefs. Yeah, but you guys went 4-13, but we beat the Chiefs. All right, bro.
It was December, week 17. They were resting half their guys, but we beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah. So Ursulita for me, 12.5, the Raiders.
It is ugly. But is it as ugly as this one?
Go ahead, tell me.
Cardinals plus 6.5 against the Packers this week. Jacoby Brissett and the Redbirds looked good last week. In my opinion, I think the Colts are a premium Super Bowl contending team, and they were able to go toe-to-toe with them, and they threw their best shot. I think Jacoby Brissett is on his later half. I always kind of like backup quarterbacks when they've been in the NFL this long, and like this is like I see a little bit of a resurrection and their first week back, and I'm like, that's the spark, It's like the guy that finally gets the second chance and is like, bro, I mean, what do I have to lose? You know what I mean? Like, I've already been fired, quit, moved, traded, done all this shit. Like, I'm just going to go out there and ball. And I think he's in that phase of his stint right now. And, man, the Cardinals are just they're a team that's just been, not snake bit, bro, but you know how the 1-score losses go. And they're just on the opposite end of that. And the thing that goes in my favor and why I like this as an Ursulita bet is because they have a bye week after this week. And in the 2 seasons that Jonathan Gannon's been coaching, Arizona is 2-0 straight up and against the spread in that spot, covering the spread by almost 24 points a game. So it could be kind of like a fraud check Packers situation. Their offensive line didn't necessarily look the best, and Daniel Jones definitely got rattled this past week versus the Cardinals. They're a team that still has not quit on their coach. Like, I think that's very evident in the way that they bounced back from what was a pretty publicly humiliating loss to the Titans, especially given the circumstance that they fall into now. But the Seahawks, we consider them to be a good team, divisional rival. They lose to them by 3. They lose to the Colts, who we'd like to consider contender, by 4 points on the road. Like, I really like the the Cardinals here hosting the Packers plus 6.5. That's my Ursulita.
Can I add one thing to what you said? First of all, I love this.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely love this. I'm hoping this gets to 7. I think it might. If it gets to 7 people, clear
Unload.
the accounts. Yeah, clear. Listen, George, Patreon, we're going to have to make an investment. If this guy, first of all, I love Kyler Murray as an underdog. He's annoying.
It's still 50-50 though.
Right. I'll like it even more if he comes in. However, to your point about Brissett, competent, look the part. I like it. If he's at home crowd, I like it. The other thing, you mentioned something about the 1-score games. I think it's my best contribution to the sports betting community. The Chiefs this year, after a season in which they went undefeated in 1-score games, they had won 17 straight 1-score games. Their record this year, 0-3 in 1-score games. All their losses have been 1-score games. So what that means is, how many times are y'all watching football and you're like, dude, he mugged him. Where's the flag? Well, next time there's going to be a flag. Or, yo, we got away with one there. Well, next time you're not going to get away with one there. Right? Next time Travis Hunter isn't going to line up off sides, and we're going to cash that 15-1. So year to year, it's the best indicator of a team's success. That schedule injury luck, it's the best indicator, bro. If there's anything you guys take away so you can sound smart to the hot girl at the bar that wants to know some betting insight, that's what you tell her. You get her all horned up with these stats. It's the best indicator. That's why year after year, the first thing I look at, we even talk about it on the show, bro. We'll be around week 9. We'll be like, yo, just throwing out a team. Giants are 6-0 in 1-score games, bro. You know what that means next year. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. We're talking about the best coach and quarterback tandem right now in the league, 0-3 in 1-score games. So, to your point, yeah, I fucking love this.
I feel like I've given all my picks except the toxic one. Did I skip one over for you? What's your trust me?
Bro, how dare you skip over trust me, you sandbagging son of a bitch. It's 5-1 on the year. You're just gonna do that to me after all we've been through.
Remember I said that I picked the Giants plus 7 in this spot where I'm 0-6, and it's terrible, but you know, we're in this spot. Nick, I'm gonna give you the floor here. This is the best bet that the show has seen. Maybe okay, so how long do we keep talking about your trust me record? Like, if it ever hits 500, we have to stop like talking about it as this is a major thing.
Bro, listen, 22 6-1, right? If it hits 500, we're in trouble. We're talking,
of course, yeah, we would.
We're talking about like, what the fuck happened? You're cold. We would need to go 500 on Trust Me for the next 2 years from here on out to get to 500. We cannot have this, all right? Don't put that juju out there. Okay, listen. Trust me, this might be the first Trust Me that can be all 5 categories. Are you ready for this? All right. Browns -3.
Wow. You're right. It could be everything that we talked about. Ursulita, Becky, Trust Me, In This Economy, and Toxic.
It is. This one is all 5. All right. It's the Trust Me, and here's why. The Browns are finally coming home. They've played 3 games, 2 of which have been in London. Now they're coming at home. They have played 11 straight games without scoring 18 or more points. Who better to come into town than a team that is going through it like I properly projected in the summer? Miami, short weapons. You can run on Miami. I love Judkins to have his legacy game coming out party this week. Dylan Gabriel finally gets to start at home. Is he the answer? No. As a 5'10 white guy, I don't want my quarterback to be a 5'10 white guy, especially a lefty. I'm a I don't even know a leftist. No, definitely not a leftist. That's not what I want to say. But like I have a hatred towards lefty quarterbacks, and we have two
a
of them
left
in the
phobia.
game. A left phobia. Yes, I have a left phobia. I don't like my quarterbacks left-handed. I just don't. And Cleveland, what did I tell you about Cleveland, bro? I love Cleveland at home. Remember, this is the team that beat the Packers. They covered against the Bengals. Another game that we had said in like June, like, yo, plus 6.5 Cleveland. And then that one dude was like, bro, put the bread up. And then he deleted his Instagram account because he's a pussy. All right. That's what we were getting at. I'm fired up. Browns -3. It's just a perfect spot right here. Shout out to Dylan Gabriel, the 41st different starting quarterback since 1999 for the Cleveland Browns. However, you're getting a 22-6-1 record to back you, sir. Bring it home for the Ducks. Bring it home for old Dirt McGirt. Browns -3.
Wow. That's good. I do think that this is the week that we see Shedeur Sanders come into the game. There's just something that I just feel like the rumor mill has been too loud, and I think the leash is a lot shorter than we think. And you know, if this game goes opposite of the Browns' way, like I don't know, bro. I think they might have to make the move. So that would be interesting to see. And if Shedeur comes back and he wins the bet for you, I mean, he's your favorite Browns quarterback of all time. So that's good. That's good. I like that. You ready to give our toxic pick now?
Yeah, my toxic pick is the Lions -5.5. I have to I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I need to put my foot down. I think they're a fraud team. I think when they play good teams, they get exposed. They are at home on Monday Night Football against Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Bucks. Bucks are probably most definitely going to be shorthanded. Our next episode, we will have known the result of this, and we'll kick off the show with this because it'll be coming on after we'll start filming after this game. But for me, toxic one, -5.5, man. There's no way I could play the Lions -5.5. I don't like it. I don't trust them.
Even with the cluster injury, like I really am kicking myself for just not buying into the whole cluster injury issue that the Lions ran into against the Chiefs. And I know Baker has the same issue going on with the receiver room, and people think like it's going to be more of a running game, but bro, I still think it's aired out against the Lions, and I agree with you. It is a pretty toxic spot.
So, dude, cluster injuries, right? It's something that a lot of professional sports bettors have been talking about for years, that it's worse for your team if you're down 3 defensive backs or 3 wide receivers than it is if you're down your tight end, running back, and wide receiver. Like, even though maybe in the fantasy community, they're like, oh, all your weapons are out. It's not as bad and effective against you as cluster injuries. So you got cluster versus cluster. Lions secondary is in shambles. The wide receiving core for the Bucks is in shambles. So that's what you got over there. And I think this could be a Baker. This Baker shit is for real. He goes into Detroit, one of the best teams, currently the favorite to win the NFC at +300. He goes into Detroit and handles business.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, bro, as a Baker Mayfield truther, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, and I had stated on Monday's show, this is not the spot to take Baker. It's going to be something that we look at as we go on throughout this season. When he fits that underdog mold and that role, like it's exactly where he's supposed to be. And I just hope that the press isn't getting to his head, because I've seen it happen, bro. I've seen it happen. It even happened out in Cleveland. Like when Cleveland started going on their runs and they were starting to make him a favorite, and they came falling back to earth. But anyway, I'm not going to put out any more bad juju on that. I just have to say it as a Baker Mayfield truther that that's his reality. Toxic pick for the week. The one not to bet. The one that you're either taking the underdog or you're passing for me this week is the Panthers -1.5 versus the Jets. The Jets are very, 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 very bad on offense. However, they had an opportunity to win last week. Not saying that the defense has figured anything out, because the Broncos offense is also suspect, but every stat in the world, as far as Bryce Young is concerned, does not like Bryce Young as a favorite. Very similar to what I was just saying about Baker Mayfield. Bryce Young, 1-15 straight up in his first 16 career road starts for the Panthers, tied for Dan Pastorini for the worst record by a QB to his first 16 road starts since the stats first started getting tracked in the 1950s. We talk about Spencer Rattler's shitty record in the NFL. This is what the NFC South is. It's filled with garbage. And I think that Aaron Glenn, he might be able to sneak one out here. And this is a very, very, very toxic spot. The only thing that I think is for certain in this game is that Rico Dowdle, he's hot right now. And when players are going on generational runs, similarly to you, Nick, like, you got to ride it. And Rico Dowdle anytime touchdown, although not a part of the parlay that we're about to give, that would be the only bet that I can make from this game.
I love it, bro. I love it. Yeah, it's a weird game. I know my Monday winner was the Panthers as an underdog, but now that line has moved 3 points. So I definitely don't feel the same way as I once did. But then again, it's the Jets. So
yeah.
Right. Like, what do you do? Yeah. All right. My anytime touchdown parlay pays +800. I got Judkins, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley, and Bijan Robinson. What do you got?
My anytime touchdown parlay is 11-1. I got DK Metcalf, Cam Scattaboo, and Stephon Diggs. 11-1.
There you have it. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review. George will be back next week. We'll be back with our Week 7 fallout. Hit the Patreon for $1 American a month. Patreon.com/Veterans Minimum. Thank you all for listening, and we will catch you guys next week.
Peace.
I'm a gold medalist, bronze like your medal is. So many deer in headlights, but it's bedtime. Hear that supper bell, main course, be the venison.
Dab. Most dangerous game. Either kill or be killed.